A black market purchase unveils a princess's secret, sparking an epic fight for freedom among the stars. Welcome to the world of science fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. Enjoy the listening. The air on Varn Station reeked of rust and desperation, a metallic tang that clung to the back of Kale's throat as he moved through the lower decks. Level 47 was a forgotten place, its corridors lined with flickering panels and graffiti in a dozen alien scripts. Once a hub of interstellar trade, the station now housed scavengers, smugglers, and those who wanted to disappear. Kale was one of them, a human engineer stripped of his rank after defying the Terran Council's orders to build weapons he knew would slaughter millions. Now he scraped by, fixing broken systems for credits and keeping his head down. But tonight, something pulled him deeper into the shadows. A low hum drew him to a sealed hatch, its edges glowing faintly with unauthorized power. His scanner, a cobbled-together relic, pinged an encrypted signal: black market activity. Kale should have walked away. He'd learned to avoid trouble, to let the station's rot consume itself. But curiosity, that human spark he couldn't extinguish, nudged him forward. He cracked the hatch's lock with a bypass chip and slipped inside. The chamber was a hollowed-out cargo bay, lit by stolen plasma lamps. A crowd of cloaked figures, human, alien, and hybrid, clustered around a raised platform. Kale's stomach twisted as he saw the auction's wares: stolen tech, narcotics, and people. A hulking trader with cybernetic eyes barked prices, his voice echoing off the walls. Kale's gaze locked on the final lot, a woman, alien, her skin a shimmering violet that caught the light like polished amethyst. Her posture was regal, spine straight, head high, despite the tattered silk draped over her frame. A metal collar gleamed at her throat, marking her as a pleasure slave. Lot 12, a rare gem, the trader bellowed. Trained in the arts of companionship, exotic lineage, guaranteed compliance. The crowd murmured, credits flashing on their devices. Kale's fists clenched. He'd seen enough of the galaxy's cruelty to know this was no place for her. Then her eyes, silver and piercing, met his across the room. She didn't plead or cower. She simply stared, as if measuring his soul. The bidding surged, voices overlapping in greed. Kale's savings, meager, hard-earned, burned in his account. He didn't plan to act, but when the trader slammed his gavel, shouting, "Final call," Kale's hand shot up. 10,000 credits. The room fell silent. The trader grinned, revealing jagged teeth. Sold to the human. Kale's heart pounded as he transferred the funds, his account gutted. The woman was led to him, her steps silent, her expression unreadable. Up close, her beauty was otherworldly, but bruises marred her collarbone, and her eyes held a quiet defiance. The trader tossed Kale a control chip for her collar. "Enjoy, human. She's a tame one." Kale ignored him, guiding her out of the bay. They moved through the corridors, his boots heavy, her bare feet soundless. In a maintenance alcove, out of sight, he stopped. "I'm Kale," he said, voice low. "I'm not. I didn't buy you for that. You're free now." Her gaze sharpened, skeptical. "No one pays that price for nothing." Her voice was soft, melodic, but carried an edge of authority. She hesitated, then leaned closer, her breath warm against his ear. "I was a princess once." The words hit like a shockwave. Kale's mind raced. A princess? On a backwater station like Varn? He studied her, seeing the truth in her poise, the way she held herself like someone born to command. "What's your name?" he asked. "Lila," she whispered, glancing over her shoulder. "But they'll come for me. They always do." Kale's scanner beeped, detecting a faint signal from her collar. Not a control chip, a tracker, powered down but warm, as if meant to be found. Someone had placed her here, a baited trap. "We need to move," he said, slipping off his jacket and draping it over her shoulders. She flinched but didn't reject it. He led her to his quarters, a converted storage cell hidden behind a false panel. Inside, the air was stale, the walls lined with scavenged tech. Kale sealed the door, activating a signal jammer. Lila stood near the entrance, clutching his jacket, her eyes scanning for threats. "Why help me?" she asked. Kale exhaled, leaning against the wall. Because I've seen what happens when people look away. And because I want to know your story. Lila's lips twitched, not quite a smile. My story is a long one, Kale. And dangerous. Then start with the truth, he said. Who's hunting you? Her gaze darkened. Those who destroyed my world. They want my blood, literally. It's unique. She touched her collar, wincing. This isn't just a slave tag. It's a leash. Kale's jaw tightened. He'd stepped into something bigger than he'd imagined, but there was no turning back. You're safe here, for now. Rest. We'll figure this out. Lila hesitated, then sat on the bunk, her movements graceful but weary. Kale stayed by the door, giving her space. As silence settled, he felt a spark ignite: curiosity, defiance, maybe hope. Whatever Lila was, she wasn't just a victim. And whatever he'd just done, it was the first time in years he felt alive. The hum of Kale's quarters was a fragile shield against Varn Station's chaos. Lila sat on the bunk, Kale's jacket still draped over her, her violet skin catching the dim light from a flickering panel. Kale tinkered with the tracker he'd removed from her collar, its faint pulse now silenced by his jammer. The device was sophisticated, too advanced for a common slaver. Whoever was hunting Lila wasn't just after a runaway. You said your blood's unique, Kale said, keeping his voice steady. What does that mean? Lila's silver eyes met his, wary but resolute. My people, the Elithar, ruled a system called Valus. Our royal line carried a genetic trait, a catalyst. It can awaken ancient tech, machines older than the stars. When our court was betrayed, I was sold to keep that secret alive and contained. Kale's mind reeled. Ancient tech was the stuff of legends, sought by empires and syndicates alike. Betrayed by who? My advisor, Kalen, she said, her voice tightening. He sold our secrets to the Obsidian Network, a syndicate that trades in power, not just credits. They drained my family, then scattered us. I was repurposed. Kale set the tracker down, his hands steady despite the anger simmering in his chest. And the tracker? A lure, Lila said. They let me escape, knowing I'd draw out others, rebels, scavengers, anyone who might want my blood's power. They're watching, Kale. Always. He nodded, glancing at the door. Varn wasn't safe, not with a syndicate like that lurking. We need allies. I know a contact, a rogue AI called Nexus. It trades info for tech scraps. It might know who's after you. Lila's posture stiffened. An AI? Can it be trusted? More than most people here, Kale said with a wry smile. Come on. We move now, before they tighten the net. They slipped into the station's underbelly, navigating maintenance tunnels thick with dust and leaking coolant. Lila moved with a quiet grace, her bare feet barely stirring the grime. Kale led her to a sealed vault, its door etched with alien runes. He plugged his scanner into a hidden port, and the vault hissed open, revealing a chamber pulsing with holographic displays. Nexus's voice, smooth and synthetic, filled the air. Kale, you bring a guest. How intriguing. Lila stepped forward, unafraid. We need information. The Obsidian Network, where are they based? Nexus's hologram flickered, forming a vague humanoid shape. Bold request, Princess. Their hub is a cloaked ship, the Nightmare's Veil, orbiting Varn's core. But they're not your only problem. A bounty hunter, Varkes, is on your trail. He's close. Kale's stomach dropped. Varkes was a legend, a reptilian mercenary who never failed a contract. Can you mask our signal? He asked. For a price, Nexus said. Kale tossed a bundle of scavenged circuits into a chute. The AI hummed, satisfied. Done. But hurry. Varkes is in the trade decks. They left the vault, but the tunnels felt tighter now, the air heavier. Lila's hand brushed Kale's, a fleeting touch. Thank you, she said softly. For believing me. Kale glanced at her, his chest tightening. We're in this together now. They reached a hangar bay, hoping to find a ship to escape. But a shadow moved, a cloaked figure with glowing red eyes. Varkis. His voice was a hiss. Princess Lila. The network pays well for your return. Kale shoved Lila behind a crate, drawing a makeshift plasma cutter. Run, he shouted. Lila hesitated, then darted for a control panel, her fingers flying over the controls. The bay's blast doors groaned, sealing Varkis inside. Kale fired, the cutter's beam grazing the hunter's armor. Varkis laughed, advancing. Lila's voice cut through the chaos. Kale, the pod. She'd hacked a maintenance pod, its hatch open. They scrambled inside, Kale slamming the controls. The pod lurched, launching into the void as Varkis' claws scraped the hull. Inside, the pod was cramped, its air thin. Lila's breathing was ragged, but her eyes were fierce. You didn't leave me, she said. Never will, Kale replied, checking the NAV system. But we're not safe yet. Nexus said the network ship is out there. We need a plan. Lila leaned closer, her voice steady. There's a sanctuary planet, Elithar's last refuge. If we reach it, we might find allies. But it's a long shot. Kale grinned, despite the fear. I like long shots. Let's go. As the pod drifted into the debris field, Kale felt a spark of hope. Lila's story wasn't over, and neither was his. They were bound now, by choice and defiance, against a galaxy that wanted them broken. The escape pod spun lazily through Varn's debris field, a speck of metal against an endless sea of stars. Inside, Kale and Lila sat shoulder to shoulder, the pod's console flickering with low power warnings. The air was stale, each breath a reminder of their dwindling oxygen. Kale's fingers danced over the controls, coaxing the pod's thrusters to avoid a jagged hull fragment. Lila stared out the frost-rimmed viewport, her violet skin reflecting the faint glow of distant nebulas. We've got maybe 20 hours of air, Kale said, his voice calm despite the knot in his chest. The sanctuary planet, how far? Lila traced an invisible map on her knee. Elithar's refuge, Solara, is 3 jumps away. But without a hyperdrive, we'd need a miracle. Kale chuckled dryly. Miracles are my specialty. He tapped the comms, sending a coded signal to the salvage freighter Nexus mentioned. No reply yet, but hope was all they had. Lila turned to him, her silver eyes searching. Why do this, Kale? You could have walked away. He leaned back, the pod's cold wall biting through his shirt. I was a council engineer once. Built ships, bridges, dreams. Then they ordered me to design a planet killer. I refused, leaked the plans, and got exiled. Been running ever since. But you're a chance to do something right. Her gaze softened. On Velis, I was taught to inspire, not fight. I failed my people when Kalen betrayed us. I won't fail again. Kale nodded, a silent pact forming. They shared stories to pass the time, his childhood on a dusty colony, her nights under Velis's twin moons. Each word built a bridge between them, human and alien, exile and princess. A beep shattered the quiet, a distress signal from a nearby derelict. Kale frowned. Could be a trap, but it might have supplies. Lila's jaw set. We can't survive on hope alone. Let's check it. Kale steered toward the signal, docking with a skeletal freighter. Inside, the air was colder, the corridors dark. They moved cautiously, Kale's scanner guiding them to a cargo hold. Crates of food and oxygen canisters lay scattered, salvation, if they could claim it. But footsteps echoed. Scavengers, 3 of them, armed with shock batons, emerged from the shadows. Hand over the loot, human, their leader growled, a squat alien with barbed skin. Kale raised his hands, stalling. Lila slipped behind a crate, her movements silent. We just need enough to survive, Kale said. No trouble. The leader laughed, lunging. Kale dodged, grabbing a pipe to parry. Lila sprang into action, using a crate's lid as a shield, her grace turning combat into a dance. Together, they disarmed 2 scavengers, but the leader tackled Kale, his baton crackling. Lila shouted, hurling a canister. It struck the leader's head, knocking him out. Kale gasped, grinning. Nice aim. They loaded the pod with supplies, but the comms crackled. A syndicate ship, the Nightmare's Veil, was scanning the sector. Kale's heart raced. They're close. We need to move. Lila plotted a course through an asteroid belt, her knowledge of ancient Elithar routes guiding them. Solara's beacon is faint, but it's there, she said. We can make it. As they drifted, Lila's hand found Kale's, her touch warm. I used to dream of freedom, she said. Now I dream of fighting back. Kale squeezed her hand. Then we'll fight. Together. The pod shuddered, a warning light flashing. The syndicate was gaining. Kale's mind raced, searching for a plan, while Lila's steady gaze anchored him. They were out of time, but not out of hope. Solara's surface was a mosaic of crimson dunes and jagged spires, its sky a bruised purple. Kale and Lila's pod had crash-landed in a canyon, its hull scorched but intact. They'd evaded the Nightmare's Veil by sheer luck, using the asteroid belt's interference to mask their descent. Now, standing on alien soil, Kale felt the weight of their journey. Lila, her violet skin dusted with sand, looked toward a distant glow, a hidden colony, Solara's last refuge. It's real, she whispered, hope flickering in her silver eyes. My people's sanctuary. Kale adjusted his pack, loaded with scavenged supplies. Let's hope they're friendly. They trekked through the canyon, the air sharp with mineral dust. Lila moved with purpose, her tattered silk replaced with a scavenged jumpsuit from the pod. Kale admired her resilience. She'd been a slave, a princess, and now a survivor. Their bond had grown, forged in shared danger and quiet moments. The colony emerged from the dunes, a cluster of domed structures carved into stone. Sentries, Elithar survivors with faded violet skin, greeted them warily. Their leader, an elder named Vorin, studied Lila with awe. The royal bloodline lives, he said, bowing. Welcome, princess. Inside, the colony buzzed with life, families, artisans, warriors. Vorin led them to a council chamber, its walls etched with Elithar runes. Your blood can awaken our ancestors' vault, Vorin said. A machine that could rebuild Velis. Lila's eyes narrowed. At what cost? Vorin's smile was grim. A sample of your blood. A small price for our future. Kale's instincts screamed warning. And if she refuses? Vorin's gaze hardened. The Obsidian Network hunts her. Without our protection, you're both dead. Lila clutched Kale's arm, her voice low. They want more than a sample. I feel it. That night, in a sparse guest chamber, Lila confided her fears. On Velis, my blood was a blessing. Here, it's a weapon. If Vorin misuses it. Kale nodded, his mind racing. We need to see that vault ourselves. They infiltrated the vault at dawn, bypassing guards with Kale's tech skills. Inside, a massive machine hummed, its core pulsing with energy. Lila touched a panel, her blood triggering a hologram, an Elithar ancestor warning of the machine's power to create or destroy. Vorin's voice cut through the dark. You should have trusted me, princess. Guards surrounded them, and Kale realized Vorin had planned to betray them to the network for credits. Lila stepped forward, her voice commanding. You'd sell your own people? For what? Vorin sneered. Survival. Kale's hand found a control node, his engineering instincts kicking in. He whispered to Lila, buy me time. She launched into a speech, her royal training captivating the guards, recounting Velis's glory. Kale rewired the vault's defenses, triggering a lockdown that trapped Vorin's loyalists. But the network ships descended, drawn by Vorin's signal. Kale and Lila rallied the colony's dissenters, outcasts tired of Vorin's rule. A rebellion sparked, Elithar and human fighting side by side. Kale's traps slowed the network's troops, while Lila's leadership inspired hope. As the vault hummed, Lila faced a choice, destroy the machine or risk its power. We can't let it fall to them, she said. Kale nodded. Then we fight for something better. The battle raged, their trust the only certainty in the chaos. The crimson dunes of Solara burned under the dawn, smoke curling from the colony's domes as the rebellion reached its peak. Kale crouched behind a stone barricade, his hands smeared with grease from rigging traps. Lila stood beside him, her violet skin glowing faintly, her silver eyes fierce. The Obsidian Network's troops, clad in black exosuits, advanced, their drones buzzing like angry wasps. Voron's betrayal had brought them here, but the colony's dissenters, Elithar and human outcasts, fought with a fire Kale hadn't seen since his own days of defiance. "Hold the line!" Lila shouted, her voice carrying over the clash of metal and plasma. She'd shed her fear, her royal training now a weapon of inspiration. Kale admired her, his chest tight with pride and fear. They'd come too far to lose now. Kale had rewired the vault's defenses to slow the network's advance, but the drones were relentless. He grabbed a scavenged pulse rifle, its charge low. "Lila, we need to reach the vault. If they get the core." "They won't," she said, her jaw set. She clutched the relic, its glow pulsing in time with her heartbeat. "It's our future, not theirs." They sprinted through the chaos, dodging gunfire. A drone swooped low, but Kale fired, its wreckage sparking. Lila led them to a hidden tunnel, her knowledge of Elithar architecture guiding them an edge. Inside, the air was cool, the vault's hum vibrating through the stone. At the core, the machine loomed, its energy crackling. Lila inserted the relic, triggering a hologram of her ancestor. Only royal blood can choose, create or destroy. The network's troops breached the outer chamber, their shouts echoing. Kale worked fast, bypassing the vault's locks. "I can overload it, fry their systems. But it'll destroy the core." Lila hesitated, her eyes on the hologram. "This was my people's dream. But dreams can't be built on blood." "Do it," Kale said. "We'll make our own future." She nodded, pressing her palm to the panel. Her blood triggered a surge, the machine screaming as Kale's overload kicked in. The network's drones faltered, their exosuits sparking. Outside, the dissenters cheered, seizing the moment to push back. But Voron emerged, his face twisted with rage. "You'd ruin us all." He lunged at Lila, a blade gleaming. Kale tackled him, the impact jarring his shoulder. They grappled, Voron's strength surprising. Lila grabbed a fallen drone's core, smashing it against Voron's head. He crumpled, defeated. The vault shuddered, its core imploding in a controlled blast. Kale pulled Lila close, shielding her as debris rained. When the dust settled, the machine was gone, but a new hologram flickered, a star map, leading to Velus's lost world. The network's forces retreated, their prize destroyed. The colony hailed Lila as their true leader, but she shook her head. "No thrones," she said. "Just freedom." Kale grinned, his arm around her. "What now, princess?" She looked at the map, then at him. "We find Velus. Together." They left Solara on a repaired freighter, the colony rebuilding behind them. The map promised answers, but Kale and Lila knew the real victory was their bond, a human's ingenuity and an alien's resilience, defying a galaxy that tried to break them. As stars blurred past, they stood side by side, ready for whatever came next.